Microsoft's quarterly profits rose sharply thanks to Office and Xbox, but Windows sales declined. With more on what this means for the tech giant, we bring in Robert Breza of RBC Capital Markets. He's one of the most accurate analysts on Microsoft. He's also a Bloomberg Best. He's joining us now on the phone from Minneapolis. Robert, thanks for joining us. The weak spot for Microsoft, clearly Windows. Sales of the operating system down 4%. To what extent are you concerned about a weakness in what's perceived by many as a cornerstone of the company?
Well, I think it is concerning, Deirdre. I think in the sense that when we look at the consumer PCs, they were down over 8%. Netbooks declined over 40%. I think it's showing that there is a little bit more weakness here, and the iPad phenomenon is taking share here on the consumer side. The business side was actually up and showed nice growth coming off the Intel results a week ago. And so I do think it surprised investors.
You mentioned the Apple iPad. I mean, the CFO of Microsoft didn't specifically talk about Apple iPad, but did cite some of the pressure on netbooks because of tablets. I mean, he used the generic term. But what does this mean for the PC, Rob? Because we've been talking a lot about, I don't know, we saw Intel's results, right, stronger than we thought they would be. So is the PC market healthy or not?
Well, I think it's healthy in certain areas. When we look at the PC market and the emerging markets, I think that's always going to be a tailwind. I think that's just a general trend that's going to be in place. However, the mix of what that's going to look like is clearly changing here. I think most people thought netbooks would be one of those main drivers in that emerging market, and that clearly didn't show through. So it is concerning at a high level, and how much tablets are eating into that, is concerning.
Rob, Microsoft has traditionally fat gross profit margins, but this past quarter they fell 5%, so 76% now. CFO putting in this sharp rise because of Xbox, also talking about Kinect. Where is the fine line here? I mean, they made investments. They clearly paid off. How do you see it as an analyst?
Well, I think Xbox, as you mentioned, did come in above expectations, and that caused the weaker gross margins. We know that this is more of a hardware component. It does not carry the same gross margins as software. I do think it's worthwhile. I think Microsoft is enjoying very good success in the entertainment device area. It's the one bright spot that I think Microsoft has when it comes to consumer sales. And if they're going to build and branch out in the mobile area, they're going to try to use Xbox and Kinect as a way to leverage some of that and tie it all in together for the consumer.
So, Rob, you mentioned the consumer, and so far for Microsoft, this certainly has been the weakest part of the quarter. We know that Microsoft's profits overall, if we take everything, including the strength in entertainment, fell below Apple for the first time in more than 2 decades. Is this significant or surprising to you?
Well, I think it's significant in the sense that, the business market has been the big area for software investment, and software results have shown to be very good this quarter. And I think what people are waiting for is the consumer to rebound. So when we look at stocks such as Apple, which are more leveraged to the consumer play, I think that's where investors are betting their money over the next 6 to 12 months, if that market will rebound quicker, because the business market has been holding up. And now I think investors are waiting for the consumer and would rather focus 6 to 12 months out.
Robert, thanks so much for the time. Robert Breza joining us there on the phone from Minneapolis. He is with RBC Capital Markets.